Well, the stakes of this year's CUSMA review are high for Windsor. Every day, more than $320 million in goods cross the Ambassador Bridge, linking Windsor and Detroit. That's a quarter of all Canada-U.S. trade every day. The city's importance to our economy has analysts calling Windsor ground zero of the Canada-U.S. trade war. And as we start this new year, both looking back on how the city fared in 2025 and what we're looking at in this year ahead, we're joined from Windsor by Peter Frise. He's a professor of mechanical and automotive engineering at the University of Windsor. Happy New Year and good morning.
Good morning, Anne-Marie.
You know, we spent some time there in the spring, the show did, in Windsor, Detroit, taking a look at, ahead of the election, what the Canada-U.S. trade war was looking like on the ground. Some areas of big impact there. We talk a lot about automotive, but tell me about the other areas that are being impacted in Windsor.
Well, of course, automotive is the foundation of Windsor's economy, but also we have a very large agri-food industry, wine industry, tourism, things like that. And I'm sure that each of those has been affected in their own ways. There's also a very large logistics and transshipping activity in the city, and just general transportation back and forth. As you say, we are the gateway between Canada's economy and that of the United States and Mexico. So it has definitely affected us pretty strongly.
Even with U.S. tariffs, automakers are making new commitments to Windsor. Stellantis gearing up to launch a third shift at the Windsor assembly plant this year. The company says the expanded production is going to create up to 1,500 jobs. How encouraging is that investment for Windsor's auto sector as they live under this crushing pressure of 25% tariffs?
Well, it's a big effect on our economy, on the people who live here and work here, and I think it's always important, especially for your viewers who are not connected or knowledgeable about the auto industry, to understand how far and wide across the economy those effects, those 1,500 jobs will go. Each assembly plant job is generally agreed to be responsible for the creation and maintenance of 8 to 10 other jobs in the economy. The people in the parts companies that supply parts for those factories, the auto assembly factories, the people who work in restaurants who serve meals to the people who work in the factories, the truck drivers, the taxi drivers, the clothing store people, everybody else in the community is affected by each of those workers. And of course, each of those workers has a family, and their livelihood is affected by the fortunes of the plant. So we're very encouraged that the locally made products are doing well in the market, and employment is growing in that particular plant.
Definitely steps in the right direction, but as we look ahead to this year, we know the CUSMA is up for review. And just a reminder, Trump repeatedly took aim at Canada's auto sector, including from the Oval Office in April. I want to remind everybody what President Trump had to say this spring.
We have a lot of everything that they sell us, but in particular cars. They took a large percentage of the car making, and I want to bring it back to this country. I really don't want cars from Canada. So when I put tariffs on Canada...
So he doesn't want cars from Canada, is what he says. And, we've learned to pay attention. When President Trump says something like that, he means it. So how critical, then, is CUSMA's survival to Windsor's economy, and what hope is being placed in that?
Well, CUSMA has been the foundation of Canada's prosperity for many, many years. Before that, there was the Auto Pact, which also helped a lot, but that was a long, long time ago. So, it's always been understood by economists. I'm an engineer, not an economist, but I can read, and I'm pretty good with numbers. Free trade is always the best policy for every economy, and not just ours, but for the United States as well. The reason that industries establish in certain areas and put certain factories in certain areas, there's often a government influence to those decisions, but the real foundation of it is economic reasons and reasons of workforce availability and skills and so on. And when the government starts interfering in those kinds of decisions, it invariably drives up costs, reduces availability of good new products, and it hurts people, and it hurts people on both sides. For instance, I can give you a really simple example. Every one of those Chrysler Pacifica vehicles that's built in Windsor, assembled in Windsor every day, is powered by an engine and driven by a transmission, which is made in the United States. All of them are made in the United States. So if you hurt the assembly of vehicles in Canada, you are going to hurt the employment of people in engine and powertrain plants in the United States. And that's just one simple example. There are many others. So the integration of the two economies is gigantic. That has been recognized in CUSMA, the Free Trade Act.
Right.
And to try to unwind that quickly is just not feasible.
Yeah, Peter Frise, you said it well, professor of mechanical and automotive engineering at the University of Windsor. Happy New Year to you. I'm sure we'll be discussing this more in the months to come. Thanks.
Same to you. Thanks.